Well, much like I said after the game, once watching the video, it was really a good team win. Our defense did a great job. They played fast and physical, really did a nice job stopping the run and then pressuring and hitting their quarterback. And we had good coverage. You know, a lot of the times to be able to get to the quarterback, it was because we had tight coverage. So it was a good overall effort by our defense. Special teams, we were able to be solid in most phases and then exceptional in the punt return phase. And, you know, one of the things we've been working hard on is getting our blocks, keeping our blocks, getting second effort, because I do really believe we have a special punt returner in Jair Alexander, and it was fun to see our guys flying around really trying to help him get loose. And you know, Alfonso Carter did a great job. Zach Cannon had a big block. London Iacopa had a big block. Our three guys that made sure the ball was punted stayed on their guys, and it all worked together to get us a touchdown on one and almost a touchdown on another one. So that was good to see. And offensively, you know, I liked our consistency for the most part. We left a couple points out there, but we ran the ball well. We converted third downs when we needed to. You know, we made some good throws, had a nice 2-minute drive to be able to go in and score right before half, which I thought was a big part of the game. And, you know, I didn't play a lot in the fourth quarter, so we, you know, just did that in 3 quarters. But when you score a lot of points like we've been doing, it's the whole team that scores the points. You know, defense gets us a couple short fields, punt return scores a touchdown. It all works together, so it's not just the offense scoring all those points. But it was a great game. I was excited about it. You know, obviously, now what you're concerned about is getting ready for Marshall. Talked to the team last night about, you know, what the rankings were. We all understand we're third in one poll, fourth in the other. But we set goals earlier this year, and that certainly doesn't reach our goals. So we just got to focus, concentrate, go out on the practice field and work to get better each day in practice and go through the process the right way. So that'll be the challenge this week. It will be a tough opponent on the road at Marshall. They're a talented team. They're a physical team. And, you know, we got to go play well. So that's what we're looking forward to.
Is there any concern that this, you know, keeping this from being a trap game?
Now, the concern is just getting better in practice. You know, that's what we need to do, is focus and concentrate and have maturity. You know, that's having maturity, is to be able to understand where you're at and go in and work hard and work on getting better, which we all know we have to do.
Bobby, you haven't really been in that close game situation yet this year, but are you at all concerned about your guys being able to execute maybe on the road in a close game if need be?
Yeah, I mean, we could think up a lot of things to be concerned about, but really what we want to do is just focus on getting better. You know what I mean?
During your coaching career, have you changed the way you approach the game after a big win like you had the other day? I mean, you've had big wins. Have you adjusted throughout your career in any way?
You know, not a whole lot. I did tell the team the other night in the team meeting, I said, okay, everybody put your right hand up. Turn it around. Now pat yourself on the back. Okay? We did a great win. Now let's get our butts back to work. That's what I told the team, and that's, you know, kind of how I feel about it. We did a great job. It was a big win for us, but now we haven't reached our goals. We're not even close. It's 3 games into the season. Let's go back to work and get better.
Bobby, you mentioned that 2-minute drive at the end of the first half. Obviously, the last 2 years, the momentum shifted in the second half. How big was that, and what does that say about where the team is at this year versus the last 2?
Yeah, actually that drive going and scoring was huge because we got off the field with a sack, which our defense did a great job of making an adjustment. They came out in the same formation they scored the touchdown on. We made an adjustment that gave us a sack, which had them turn the ball over. And then offensively, we went right down and scored, and then came out of the locker room and got 3 and out, returned the punt for a touchdown. So that little series right there was huge. And I think, you know, hurt them a little bit too, because, you know, even in the Ole Miss game, they scored right before half. And his philosophy is to defer, and because he wants to get the ball in the second half. So the turning point is not to allow them to score, us score, and then get the ball right back. I thought was a big part of the game.
Is that team speed? You've been talking about that kind of sequence
Yeah, I think it really was. And when you see our defense flying around and playing as fast as they played, it was evident that they had a good idea what was coming at them, and they knew what our philosophy was and what our scheme was.
How was your defense so effective at getting into their backfield?
Well, first, on stopping the run, because you got to stop the run when you play them, and they really were patient with it too. They tried to continue to run the ball. Particularly on first and second down. Our philosophy going in was to set the edge and get guys playing gap control and not give them any seams. And for the most part, we did a great job of that. And then it put them behind the sticks. And then we wanted to pressure and go after the quarterback a little bit. So we were able to mix it up and do that. And our guys understood their protection schemes, and we did a good job going after them.
What was your team's reaction?
After you would give yourself a D is what you said right after the game. After you would, give him a little better grade?
I wouldn't want him to be my teacher. That's for sure. We all know he wasn't a D. He's a great player, and he made, huge plays in that game to allow us to win the game. So he's being a little bit hard on himself, probably being a little bit funny too, So he knows he wasn't a D.
What do you see, though, when you watch him? I mean, there's still room for improvement with him? So
Oh, certainly. Yeah, he's upset that he missed the 2 throws in the first quarter. One would have been a touchdown, another one would have been a third down conversion. The timing was just off a little bit. The first one, he probably didn't close his shoulder as much as he needs to, so the ball was a little out in front of Travion. And then the third down conversion to Reggie, I think he thought Reggie was going to come out of his break a little quicker at a different angle, and we just weren't on. I know that's the 2 throws he's thinking, and then the interception. And I told him the interception's on me. I'm not very smart. We had a great turnover. We should have just ran the ball in. I made a call working to. They put a new corner in. I wanted to go after him, and he backed off and got deep. So the only place he could throw it was to the tall kid. Wasn't his best throw of his life, but the interception was on me.
You're not even close to your goals. What is your goal? 100 to nothing.
No, we're just talking about our season goals. We're just talking about our season goals. We're 3 games in, and we've got a long way to go, and a lot of things to focus on and work on, and get better individually. All our guys need to understand they need to get better individually.
Bobby, when opposing teams are working your offense, especially, what is making you guys so tough to keep playing? Is it the speed? Is it the execution? Just touch on how we can.
Yeah, I think it's the combination of being able to make big plays, throwing the ball down the field, make big plays running it with our quarterback and our running backs. That was the biggest thing going into the game for me the other day. I was on our offensive staff all week long about we're going to need to hand the ball to a running back and be successful running the ball. It can't all be on Lamar's shoulders. So you have to put it on the O-line and our running backs to get it done. And Brandon had a great game. Starting from play number 1, he did a great job, and our O-line opened up holes. So that consistency and the guys that get opportunities to make plays, make them. We've had a lot of different guys catch balls, a lot of different guys run the football. I thought Jeremy Smith did a great job when we got in the red zone, running the ball in the end zone. And our O-line took a lot of pride in pushing the ball in. And they have fun doing that, so that was good.
What do you know about Marshall, and how do you feel they specifically match up with your team?
Yeah, Marshall's always very talented. Defensively, they like to play a lot of man coverage, and they got some physical linebackers that run hard to the ball. Offensively, we're kind of back playing that spread offense again and no huddle. They got a big quarterback that can throw it, and a couple of running backs that look good on video, and some wide receivers can make plays. So we've got to go in and execute and play the game we know how to.
What do you think about just playing that game on the road and non-conference school on the road just because we're in that game?
Yeah, that was something that was scheduled, and something not a whole lot I can do about it. When we got here, it was on the schedule, and we just line up and go play.
What was the team's reaction when you told them to pat themselves on the back?
They laughed a little bit, actually. Yeah, they had a pretty good laugh with it. So I think they thought we were really going to do something when I said, put your hands up, turn it around, so.
Coach, I don't know if you've seen it, but Michael Vick came out over the weekend and said, hey, that guy he's better than I was in college right now. So I guess a two-part question. Have you seen those comments? What do you make of that? And have the players on the team look at Lamar any differently given how great he's been the first 3 weeks of the season?
I've heard about the comments, and certainly I think it's a real compliment to Lamar and how well he's played these 3 games. We got a long way to go, though. Got a huge season, and the consistency that Lamar has shown in the 3 games is what I'm proud of. All the players on our team, have tremendous respect for him, understand the ability that he has. But probably the thing that's exciting the most is when you go to practice and then you watch the practice video, that every time Lamar and Brandon touch the ball, they're sprinting faster than anybody else down the field. We even put video on from last week to show our receivers they weren't sprinting hard enough. Watch Lamar, watch Brandon. So, that's really what you try to do in practice, is earn the respect of all your teammates, and he's really done that.
But with all the weapons you have early in the preseason in the media, James Quick was kind of not a whole lot said about him, but the last 2 weeks he's come up big. Can you just talk about his progression now as a senior and specifically the one catch on this?
Big catch, yeah. I mean, James done a great job for us, and I've always had a lot of respect for James because how hard he plays. He plays on special teams and gives us great effort there. Our first year here, he struggled at times catching the ball. He's really done a nice job now focusing in and catching it in his hands and tucking it away. I thought Syracuse, he played a great game, had some big plays for us. The catch the other day, was one of those lucky things. We were really throwing the ball to Cole in the flat there, and they changed the coverage up, and James was getting jammed on the sideline, and the ball just ended up being there, and he got lucky and caught it. We'll take it.
Bobby, when you came back here, you were talking about how you want to build the program. Could you have imagined then to be at this point, just a little over 3 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. We're just working at it, We're working at it. I did believe that our goal is to win a national championship. We've been saying that since we got here. It was that way when I was here before, too. A lot of times people looked at me like I was crazy. But we had 2 teams that were about a game away for maybe playing for it, maybe. We had to run the table. We knew that. We knew what we were facing. That's the greatest thing about what everybody's done here with our administration and Mr. Jurich and all the facilities and the academics to get in the ACC is now we're in that group that has an opportunity to go to the playoffs. So.
How satisfying, I guess, coming back here and doing that, how rewarding has that been for you?
I mean, we got a long way to go. We got to get going. We got, 8 more games and 9 more games, whatever it is, to play. We're just 3 games in. I'm excited about where we're at. That was a huge win for us on Saturday, but we just need to put it behind us and go beat Marshall.
Have you had to put a focus on, obviously the Clemson game in a couple weeks is important, but taking it 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time?
I mean, that's what we always do. We've saying that from day one, that you just play the game that you got that week. So we just have to work and get ready for the game.
Your defense really seemed to take a step forward. Not some of the big plays, and even some of the not big plays in terms of dominating the line with sacks. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, definitely. I thought we really dominated the line of scrimmage. Like I keep saying, we set the edge because they like to really run outside zone. They've got a running back that's as good as anybody in the country. And we were able to set the edge and then get guys running downhill to fill the gaps so he couldn't cut back. And then we were able to get after his quarterback. We mixed up coverages. We mixed up how we rushed. We blitzed him at different times. It was just a great game plan by our defensive staff and very, very well executed by our players. The last time I was there, and it was a long, long time ago, it was in the second round of the 1AA playoffs when I was coaching for Weber State, great. They were cranked up and ready to go. I remember getting off the bus and all these people running up to the fence and start yelling and swearing at us. So I imagine it'll be a pretty good atmosphere. So I think it's great. It's what we like to do.
Do you think they'll view this as one of their biggest games of the division?
Yeah, I don't really know. We're not going to worry about that, but we are going to make sure we prepare for playing in the noise and being able to execute and, go into what we feel like will be a hostile environment.
How much of an effect does a punt return like you have on the mindset of the opponent, just the threat of him, is a little bit unloaded?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll respect the fact that he's a great returner and that we worked hard on blocking and doing things right. We had a great game plan for what Florida State did on their punt team, which gave him room to make plays. I remember going against a great punt returner one time, and we planned on kicking the ball out of bounds. We made a mistake and didn't get it out of bounds, and he ran it back for a touchdown on us. So I'll probably never forget that one.
Given the momentum and the big win that you're coming off of, is now as good a time as any to take your team on the road for 2 straight?
Sure.
Do you, with a game like that, and you had so many recruits here in the nation watching, how much does that, not this year, but help for the future, even as far as just with all the attention that the program got over the weekend?
Yeah, I think it helps us a lot. I think that kids really pay attention to, what's going on TV. They like to see the matchups that are on there, and they like to see the style of play that you play. And our guys went out and did a great job on national TV of representing the university and playing the style of play we want to play, fast, physical on defense, and exciting, and score a lot of points on offense. So we've had great response to it. I think it all plays together. And like I've said before, the number one thing we need to do on recruiting is get them here on campus. So that I think it'll help us get kids here on campus.
You seem to be low-keying the whole weekend that happened. Is there a part of you that's enjoying this as much as you should?
I enjoyed it Saturday after the game. It was really a lot of fun, Went home with my family, had some nice Italian food. My dad enjoyed it. We sat around, watched a couple games going. And then Sunday morning I got up and went to work, and now it's time to get ready for the next game. But it was a lot of fun Saturday. I had a lot of fun on the sideline. It was fun for me on the sideline looking at our players and seeing their confidence and seeing their smiles on their face for what they're doing out there on the field, seeing the camaraderie, listening to the O-line talk about running the ball to win the game. There was a lot of things that we really work on in practice and talk about as a team that showed up on the sideline and showed up on the field. That's probably the funnest thing as a coach, when you see all that hard work come out and show up on the field.
Is there a voice in your head that says the stars are aligned, this could be the year?
I don't think we're close enough to do that yet. I think we just got to go back to work, and really, if those stars are going to align, it's up to us to do it 1 week at a time.
How do you manage the Heisman talk with your team behind closed doors?
I saw Josh Harvey Clemens interviewed when I got home, and he said, I know I'd give Lamar my vote, so there's not a lot you can do about the Heisman Trophy. It's a great player and a great team. So if Lamar's going to win the Heisman Trophy, he's got to keep playing the way he's playing, and our team's got to keep performing and doing the things we've been doing, because it really has become more of a team and an individual award.
Your offensive line is day and night compared to the last years up there. That's, talk about the success of the reason why. That's the one that strikes me so much. These guys seem to be growing in that position that normally it takes them long.
Yeah, and that's what was fun watching the other day, was how physical they played, how hard they played, how they communicated. We still had some mistakes, we still had some errors, but they were mistakes because of new looks that we saw, or a call that we made, but it really wasn't that look. but there was 0 effort errors. You know, our guys played hard and played physical and, you know, graded out as well as we have. Yeah, here is huge focus, you know, and because sacks are a team issue. You know, they're up to the offensive line to do their job. It's up to the running backs and tight ends, whether they're in protection schemes or running their routes perfectly. It's up to the receivers to be where they need to be on time, and it's up to the quarterback to have the right drop and get the ball out of his hand. And last year, everybody contributed to the sacks, including myself, you know. And now this year we're taking some pride in making sure we got our protection set, everybody working together, working the timing, and getting the ball out of our hand on time. So I think we've taken a lot of pride in it. Obviously our coaches have been putting extra effort into it, and our players have too. So and it really helps you as an offense when you're not getting negative yards. One of the hardest things is, you know, when you get negative yards, to go get that first down. So as long as you keep going forward all the time, you have a much better chance of scoring points.
Last question, on the opposite side of the ball, sacks-wise, what do you think of Turner's play?
He's been very, very good. You know, he's so fast and so elusive. I'm glad we don't have to go against him but in practice, because he really has a knack for how he uses his hands and what he does with his body, and he's got great get-off. You know, he's really helped us, you know, complement what we have on the other edge.